Chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone. I'm feeling it.
Live from West St. Paul Studios, it's time for MinneZona Sports Live with DJ Matty C and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back, yes! Episode 235. Oh, hard to believe. We're getting to 250 and we're getting close. 15 more to go. But anyway, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way in Granite City Studios in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Paul Vold, Shield. We are getting the playoff feel. Shield, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, crazy time that we are at right now. Of course, fresh off the Masters from over the weekend. Shout out to Rory McIlroy on finally closing out the big ones, the Grand Slam. I mean, it's WrestleMania coming up here this weekend. We've got playoff hockey coming your way this weekend. Baseball's in full swing. Draft is coming up next week, too. This is a great time to be a sports fan. And, of course, I'm here with the show, too.
Yes, we have one hell of a show ready for you tonight, Voldy. That is a jam-packed sports entertainment, the whole deal.
Of course.
It is going to be awesome. The Wolves are playoff bound. They will be taking on those Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, it will be. It's going to be tough. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The national media, of course, leaning towards the Lakers. But you know what? We've been in this before, and I think they can figure it out. And what better way to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight than having our own Alex Zappa on for Sports Network. Now, you know, Zaps, I think last time we had Zaps on was when the WNBA finals were happening, and then that whole ordeal with the Lynx and whatnot. So it's been a while since we had Zaps on. He will be on at 8 o'clock tonight. So the schedule is going to be a little different tonight here, Shield.
Bit, yeah.
What we have in store tonight is quite fun. So we're going to wait to, talk some Wolves later on with Zappa at 8. But feel free to throw in the chat. We can, segue for a little bit as well if need be. But the Wolves are not the only team that are in the playoffs. The Minnesota Wild just clinched their playoff wild card last night. Yes, they beat the Anaheim Ducks, quack quack, or the Ducks of Anaheim. Did they change it again, or am I losing my mind, or what?
I think it's Anaheim Ducks.
It's still Anaheim Ducks.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought the Ducks of Anaheim, or because Anaheim and all that stuff. Anyway,
Right.
Wild win in OT. They will take on the Vegas Golden Knights, and let me tell you, it's been tough for the Wild this year against the Knights. We'll talk about that. That is our first Tater Tot Hot Take tonight. And then we have a stacked deck of ARAs and no special segment tonight, just because we got Zaps on and we got a lot to talk about with Zaps regarding the Wolves. So tonight we've got Judge to captain Team USA at World Baseball Classic. Interesting. Let's go. We'll talk about that. Travishunter, sheduersanders to have their numbers retired at Colorado. Very controversial, I will say. I have thoughts. Voldy, obviously, you have thoughts as well. I can't wait to talk about that. And then to round things off, nicoiamaleava, right? Or is nicoiamaleava?
I've heard it this week 17 different ways, but I think the one that is most popular is I'm a lava. I have no idea.
I'm a lava.
I'm a leave.
Yeah, it's in the name, so that's all that matters at this point.
I'm a head out.
I'm a head out. We'll see you later. Apparently there's NIL. A lot being said about NIL here these past few weeks as well, especially. So, and then we're talking Wolves. Obviously, we're going back to Hot Take. Talk Wolves with. Oh no, that's the wrong one. We're talking Wolves with Zappa, Wolves, Lakers, and whatnot. So we look forward to having Zappa on later on tonight. And to round things off, of course, Shield shoutouts. We got some Shield shoutouts tonight, and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So, anywho, let's get it going, Voldy, with some Tater Tot Hot Take.
Fresh out of the oven, it's Tater Tot Hot Take.
All right, it is time for some Tater Tot Hot Take. Part one of the Hot Take tonight is the Minnesota Wild clinching that wild card playoff spot. Claps out to the Minnesota Wild for getting it done against the Ducks last night, and Matt Boldy with the game-winning goal. That was only a couple seconds into, I think it was like 20 seconds into OT. He went in and scored and whatnot, and the Wild just say, you know what, we're just going to win this damn thing, and they did. So congratulations to the Wild making the playoffs. They've dealt with a lot this whole season. Kaprizov hurt. Jewel hurt. I think Spurgeon was hurt a little bit during the season as well. The Wild have, they've done a good job at kind of riding the waves, seeing, how things go without those key guys, and they've managed to, figure things out. And I feel like a lot of people were kind of expecting the Wild to kind of be like, okay, it's kind of a rebuild type of competitive rebuild type of thing. But especially when those contracts are coming up in this offseason, we all kind of expected them to kind of be out. But they are not. They're in the playoffs. They got the Golden Knights. Voldy, what are your thoughts on the game last night, and what can you tell us about Vegas coming up here? What do you got?
Of course, leave it into the hands of the Wild to basically win in your in type situation against Anaheim, who is at the bottom, believe it or not, of the Western Conference, and just how everything weighed into that, being down 2-1 late in the third, get the game-tying goal to assure a point. They just needed 1 point, the Wild did, to assure a playoff spot for sure. And of course, they end up winning it in overtime. A little bit back and forth there. Of course, a team that isn't overly competitive, but the Wild have had the Ducks number here this season. Of course, a lot of teams have had the Ducks number overall. But, it's been an interesting goal for them in the last handful of games. Of course, the disappointment against Calgary. And, of course, the contest against Calgary. The real head-scratching game this time last week against San Jose, too, was a very interesting return for Joel Eriksson Ek and for Kaprizov as well. But you know what? Also, hats off. You throw in the fact, too, in that overtime frame, you throw Marc-Andre Fleury back in net there to finish off the contest and ultimately get the win on top of it too. So very nice move there by the Wild there in the overtime frame, knowing that they were going to the playoffs regardless, but also nice to get the win. I look at how things kind of played out because we were talking about last week about how long it would take guys like Kirill and obviously Joel Eriksson Ek to get back in the mix and get back into the flow. It didn't take them very long. It took them, like I even said, too, give them a couple shifts, give them a couple periods, and boy, did they go off. And, of course, Joel ends up with 4 goals. And then, Kirill gets the game winner in overtime against San Jose last week. And, that ultimately put a little bit of spark into the team, too. Now you've got these guys healthy at the right time for a very interesting matchup here to open up the playoffs. But the game last night, there's definitely a lot more that could have been done for the Wild there to at least build a little bit more confidence going into the playoffs.
Well, Calgary is out from what I reckon.
Correct.
And now now that everyone's healthy and whatnot, mostly, I think Middleton's still working on getting back at some point here. So hopefully they have him as when they finally get the schedule, because we were just talking about that off air, about how they haven't set the times yet or anything like that. We'll have to wait till Thursday to get the playoff schedule. You have to at this point, and just seeing, I didn't watch the game, but I definitely saw the highlights. And one thing that I feel that this team has is that they don't give up. They really work their tails off. And I think this is a team that showed a lot of grit this season. And they started off hot. I mean, and then Kirill goes down, and they're doing what they can to just kind of keep their heads above water. And then Joel goes down, and then it's kind of tough for this team. Now, I know that they don't necessarily have the firepower, per se, to take down a team like Vegas. I mean, Vegas beat them 3 times this year. I think it's interesting to me how, you look at the regular season and then you're like, oh, man, they're just, Vegas is just going to run all over them. It's like, no, I think it's going to, think about this. Everyone thought the Wolves, we're comparing, 2 different sports, but at the same time, the Wolves didn't beat the Suns at all that one year last year. And guess what? Wolves went out and won in, what was it again, Shannon Sharp? 5. Wolves in 5. So I kind of look at it from the perspective of, it doesn't matter what happens in the regular season. I feel like there's a lot of people that are kind of doubting that the Wild can do much, but I think they're going to make it a series. I really do. I'm not gonna go as far to say is that they'll win, but I think they're going to really make it a series. I don't think they're going to keel over or anything like that. I think they have a legit shot at making this a really good series against Vegas. And, we all know what Vegas brings to the table, and the Wild, with Eichel, with Stone, I mean, they're stacked, to be honest. And I think the main thing for the Wild is that if they win a couple games here and there, they have a chance. And I think if they steal one in Vegas, starting in game 1 or 2, that'll help them a lot. So, Voldy, Zoners, this matchup against Vegas, it's like I said, you look at the regular season, they didn't fare as well or anything like that. But do you agree that the Wild will make this a series? Do you think that this could go 6, 7? What do you think?
I think it's very capable of going at least 6 games just based off the head-to-head that we've seen against Vegas. I mean, Vegas is a very hot and cold team. They've been, at least in the last few weeks for sure, in the month of April. Not much of a winning record. I think they're right at 500 when it comes to the month of April, but still second best in the league overall. But they've been very hot and cold as of late. But, the head-to-head matchups, you got to be able to steal one from them on the road, especially. But looking at the season overall, I mean, they've played them a couple of times, and I'm pretty sure that the Wild have not had a lot of luck against Vegas. They've been one of those teams that just finds a way to get underneath their skin a little bit. But if they're able to get one on the road and get one in Vegas, I think that's going to be a huge plus for them. Their goaltending has been very suspect the last handful of games, of course, with Samsonov and of course with Adin Hill too. But if the goaltending picks up against the Wild, it could be a very quick series. But I definitely feel in this matchup, the Wild definitely do have a very solid chance in this matchup for sure.
And who's to say that they can't do it? I mean,
no,
there's no expectation of that. I mean, you have the people like, and I'm guilty of doing this too, is saying like, oh, they can't get out of the first round, and they haven't been able to do that. But at the same time, you look at this season, it's kind of like this isn't like a make or break or anything like that. I just think, once they get to the offseason, I think priority number 1, re-signing Kaprizov. And going from there, adding more to this roster to keep up with teams like Vegas, like Winnipeg. I'm glad they don't have to play Winnipeg. Good Lord. That would have been a bad matchup for them as well. And I think going up against Vegas and knowing that you were swept by them, there was only one game that I think it was on December 15th. It was 3-2, 4-1. They lost 4-1 January 12th, and then losing 5-1 March 25th. Yeah. So
not a favorable matchup. So
not favorable
in the regular season.
Right. But again, like I said, that's regular season. Let's see how this plays out. One guy that has really played well is Matt Boldy. Not just because of the goal last night, and he's finishing the season 73 points, 27 goals, 46 assists. This guy is turning into the perfect 1-2 punch with Kirill Kaprizov. I think a lot of his success is that when Kaprizov went down, they've needed him. They wanted him to step up. They've gone with Matt Boldy. He's putting it in the net with all these points and stuff. And Marco Rossi with 60 points, 24 goals, and 36 assists. That's the kind of thing that you want, that production. And Zuccarello has been doing well as of late as well. So, I'm with you, Voldy. I think they're going to make it a series. I'm going to go. I'll just say this now, it's just so we have it on record. I'm going to go. Let's go Wild in 7, baby. Wild in 7. I think they're going to make this. They're healthy. I think they want to have something to prove, and I think they're going to shock some people. So Wild in 7. Right. Let's go. Voldy.
I like it.
What do you got?
I mean, I definitely know this is going to be no less than 6 games. I just look at where the Wild are right now. They definitely do have a little bit of youth on their side. That certainly helps with Rossi and also with Boldy that have really picked up and shouldered the burden. Of course, with Joel Eriksson and Kirill Kaprizov been out for an extended amount of time, basically since the new year. The one thing, again, I brought it up last week, the only playoff team that the Wild are right now that have a worse goal differential coming into the playoffs, still under giving up more goals than actually scoring. So that's what's going to really bug me overall in this matchup. Goaltending has to be lights out against the likes of Vegas, because a lot of these guys still left over from when they won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago, to some of the original misfits still on the squad. I mean, Mark Stone, you got Wild Bill Carlson, you've got, of course, Jack Eichel, Hurdle as well, Tanner Pearson, you've got Brandon Saad, a lot of guys that can step up and be in some of these big moments that were formerly guys that were just kind of role players elsewhere. But Trangelo, still a very nice veteran presence for him, won a couple of cups, including in St. Louis and, of course, with Vegas on top of it. A lot of guys coming back from injury at the right time for both squads. But I feel the way that the Wild have kind of played the last couple of games, the goaltending is as strong as it can be. I have no problem saying Wild in 6 games.
I would say Wild in 6, but we're going to wait till Wolves and stuff like that with Zappa.
It don't matter.
But, it don't matter. It don't matter. Get ready to rhyme a little bit with it. But, yeah, I don't know. I want to be positive with this team, and I think we both are kind of in the realm of, hey, let's see what happens. Let's see what they can do. And if they can get it done, well, shoot. That's great. Let's get it done. So, Lucas says, let's go Wild. Time for the Wild to get hot. Hot. Like Tater Tot. Hot take. Let's go Wild. So, we will keep you guys in the loop on when the schedule comes out. We'll chat about it and whatnot more next week. And, yeah, we'll have our draft special, by the way, next week. So, be ready for that. Voldy and I are talking about giveaways, so keep in tune. So, we're going to be talking a lot of Vikings as well on our next week. So, make sure you guys tune in for that. So, anywho, let's... This is weird. This is weird to me because, we usually don't do ARA this quickly. So this is it's going to be kind of a different feel to it because Alex Zappa is coming on at 8 tonight, and we will be talking.
The long.
Yeah. Boom.
The long. Really stretch it out. Stretch it out. Talk slower.
As slow as can be. Ramble as much as you can. But, yeah, we got Air Raid tonight. Obviously, no special segment, like I said before. We're talking World Baseball Classic, baby. Aaron Judge, the captain of the Team USA, which is great.
Ooh.
We'll talk a little bit about that. And then, after that one, we are talking about I Am Lava or something like that. I Am Leva. The Vols split. Yeah, I'm a head out. Vols split over NIL. That is a big one that we'll be talking about as well. There's been a lot of thoughts from the national sports media about that. And we also are talking about, very controversial these past couple days, Travis Hunter and sheduersanders to have numbers retired at Colorado. A lot of thoughts on that. So we have plenty to talk about with ARA before Zappa hops on with us to talk Wolves. So let's get it going with some Absurd or Approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, it is time for Absurd or Approved. So, Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please.
Well, we start in the world of Major League Baseball. I guess you could say it's Major League Baseball because a lot of the MLB's star players will be gathering together in this time, well, I should say in a little over 11 months, that the World Baseball Classic of 2026 will make its return, and a couple announcements start off early in the week. The return for Team USA manager Mark DeRosa after a successful tenure in the previous World Baseball Classic that featured, of course, Team USA reaching all the way to the gold medal game, falling to Team Japan in a thrilling final that it certainly was. But DeRosa was announced as retaining manager and also made the announcement after a brief conversation that New York Yankees slugger Aaron Judge will be serving as captain for Team USA, taking over the mantle that serving as captain was Mike Trout in the 2023 rendition of the World Baseball Classic. Even after a short conversation between DeRosa and Trout gave the blessing, saying that Judge is, quote, he's the one, with, of course, Aaron Judge to be served as team captain for Team USA, which certainly does have a lot to prove after the 2023 World Baseball Classic, where they were able to make it all the way to the final and ultimately came up just a little bit short against, of course, another equally stacked roster for Team Japan. But of course, you look at the possibility of players that have come in, and also looking at, of course, now Aaron Judge being the main catalyst, of course, the star to serve as team captain. Is it absurd or approved? Will Team USA be the odds-on favorite to win the World Baseball Classic for 2026?
Ooh, man, it's tough to say now because, but at the same time, I mean, looking at who they have with Team USA, and obviously Judge leading the way, which I think is a smart thing to have on the baseball team, and obviously he's going to be a big factor in a lot of their success in the World Baseball Classic. But it's hard to say because, you know, who's going to be on what team and this and that. But from what I understand, Cuba, Puerto Rico, teams like that, I think are going to be, you know, tough to beat as well. And I mean, all these countries and stuff like that are going to have a lot of MLB players on there. That's going to be tough for them to take on and whatnot. But it looks like Andy Pettitte is serving as pitching coach on DeRosa's staff, which is interesting in itself.
That's just the start. The coaching staff as a whole, of course, you've got D-Row as the manager. You've got Freddie Gonzalez, a former Major League Baseball manager, as assistant manager. You've got Brian McCann as assistant manager. Michael Young as assistant manager. Andy Pettitte as pitching coach. Matt Holliday as hitting coach. George Lombard as first base coach. Dino Ebel as third base coach. You've got Skip Schumacher as bench coach. And David Ross as the bullpen coach for Team USA. That's a combined 110 big league seasons, 24 All-Star Game appearances, 11 World Series, and 8,566 career hits. Give me Team USA. Hit the over. Hammer the over on Team USA.
Where's Moser? We need to hammer the over on this.
Hammer.
Let's get it down. So let's I think they got a shot. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like you said, Japan's going to be, you know, obviously a factor in this as well. They'll be in Group B, like you were talking about, Britain, Brazil, Italy, Mexico. So that's going to be tough for them as well. So, but I don't know. This is going to be fun. And they won the World Baseball Classic last in 2017. Hopefully they can do it here in 2026 just to, you know, add more to the trophy case for Team USA. And we love Team USA, obviously, and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to it. I would say, let's see. I think it's got my stamp of approval. I mean, I'd be crazy to say if I didn't give it my stamp of approval. But this team's looking good. You have Judge leading the way, all rise, and whatnot. So yeah, give me the Team USA to win the World Baseball Classic in 2026, March 5th to March 17th. Okay, all right, I like that. That's good. So stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I absolutely love the World Baseball Classic. I have been a fan of it ever since they brought it in 2006. I love it so much. One of my most prized jersey possessions. I have a Team Canada 2009 World Baseball Classic Justin Morneau Team Canada baseball jersey. And that's probably that's probably the top 5 jersey in my collection, and I've had it since 2009. You guys do the math at home. That's been a long while. And I hope to get it signed one day by Justin Morneau, so he knows how much I appreciate that jersey. But I love the World Baseball Classic. I think this is probably one of the more exciting things that nobody talks about that needs to be talked about. Yes, it happens every 3 years. It used to happen. It's been a little bit infrequent since the early goings because of the timing, trying to get everything lined back up. Of course, COVID threw into the mix there, which delayed it from 2017 to 2023. But looking at Team USA as a whole, and of course, D-Row was talking about this, of course, from a position player standpoint, you can fill out 5 different lineups of just guys. It's the pitching that you probably are going to be a little bit more concerned about with guys. Of course, you see some of the young arms coming up mixed in with some of the veterans. Of course, this will be early March, so how soon are pitchers going to be tied on to how their teams are going to allow them to pitch, how far they can go, how hard, all that stuff too. It'd be great to see, I don't know, maybe Paul Skeens in a Team USA uniform. That'd be fantastic to have him into the mix, in the rotation. He'd get jacked up, of course, being an Air Force man himself, to represent his country, of course, with Aaron Judge serving as captain. He's the hot hand right now. Of course, 3 years ago, it was Mike Trout being the hot hand. So everything just kind of playing into that mix and being very strong. It's the pitching that I'm probably going to be a little bit more concerned about now with this season of baseball. I've definitely paid a lot more attention to what pitching could potentially be here for Team USA. Of course, most likely led by Paul Skeens. If he decides to go that route, I think he'd be doing a disservice to himself if he didn't at least give it a go. Now, talking about whether Team USA is going to be the favorites, I think certainly out of the group stage with Group B between Great Britain, Brazil, Italy, and Mexico, the one team I'm probably most worried about is Team Italy. Italy's got some sneaky good guys on their team. Of course, some of them being Americans with those Italian roots on top of it. Mexico can certainly sneak a couple guys here and there to put a squad together, but I think with Team USA, certainly making it out of the group stage would be a much benefit for them. Then you're looking at guys like Cuba, you're looking at the Dominican Republics, you're looking at Venezuela as well, with Japan in the mix. All those Latin American countries plus Team Japan, certainly no slouches, and will definitely give Team USA a certain run at making a repeat to the final on top of it. But right now, you asked me who's going to win. I got Team USA, because you certainly know it's going to be the lineup of Team USA versus the pitching staff of Team Japan. You just really wish they would listen just a 1-game final. That'd be like a best of 3 or best of 5 out of it, because Team USA versus Team Japan for the World Baseball Classic, I could watch a full 7-game series and not be bored at all based off of that. But you know what? Give me Team USA to get the big time, to be the favorite for 2026.
It's fun to see, because nowadays, it's like, man, remember seeing Big Papi and in the Dominican Republic jerseys and whatnot, right? He was in, or am I? Was
2006 that was, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, oof. I miss those days, and especially
when he pimped the shit out of that one bomb he hit, and
yeah,
I think it was Dominican, or it might have been Mexico. Either way, he hit the crap out of the ball on that.
Big Papi, baby.
That pops up in my algorithm a lot, and it's a great highlight. So
yeah, it definitely is. So World Baseball Classic, Aaron Judge, all rise. So all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, we head to the world of college football in a very interesting and turmoil-filled situation between the University of Tennessee and their starting quarterback, nicoiamaleava. I believe that is how you pronounce it, or at least one of the 17 ways that I've heard that name being pronounced in most recent days. As it was reported as most recently as Saturday that Amaleava is no longer part of the team, saying that over disputes of contracts and NIL issues with the school and the program, head coach Josh Heupel, a South Dakota native as well, saying that no one is bigger than the program, and thus he was dismissed from the team with ongoing issues over contracts and even no showing during spring practices and, of course, the spring game set to take place. Of course, there were rumors and conversations taking place with Amaleava and the season that was previously had by the University of Tennessee, going from a contract situation of being just over $1 million a year that he was getting in NIL funds to say, hey, I want to be making $8 million, of course, over the span of the 4 years. He was initially making $2.4 million on a contract that was reported to be $8 million when he signed it. But now with the conversations and, of course, the recent success that he wants it to be $4 million a year for his time and, of course, services at the University of Tennessee. So quite possibly making in excess of over $10 million in his overall time at the University of Tennessee. Of course, this being one of the bigger highlight issues for NIL and the Wild West mentality that they continue to deal with, and this being one of the more substantial names to be removed from their program based off of NIL issues. We've seen guys that have decided to hit the portal 3 games into the season, some that have transferred mid-year, after the playoffs, before the playoffs. But with all this being said, on top of Amaleava and, of course, the issues that he's had with his NIL and possibly moving on to another program, is it absurd or approved? Will we be seeing more of these top players and possible recruits depart programs over said NIL issues?
Oh, 100% stamp of approval. This has now turned into somewhat of a, contract disputes and things like that, very reminiscent to NFL, NBA, things like that. Now,
right.
In college football, this is the grim reality of it, is that this is what's going to happen now. But look, his stats this past year, and I had to look just to kind of see where things were at with him. 213 completions, 34 attempts, over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's just passing. Rushing, he had 109 carries, 358 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, not to say that Nico is a bad quarterback by any means, but I think it's a little ridiculous, in my humble opinion, that they're asking for more money in the NIL because of that after one season. I think, and this is just based on how I kind of interpret this, is I feel like since he was a freshman and he goes into this next season, and if he does wonders again, then this is looking pretty good for him to maybe have an increase and whatnot. But Tennessee wasn't willing to do that, and that's fine. I get that. Like I think if they want to really push, push that, I don't think this is, being forced into adding more money to his deal and whatnot. He's making 2.4. That's pretty good for a freshman. Don't get me wrong. But now it's like, now you have these, representatives of the player that, we want more because he really showed, and it's like, not one like Tennessee said, not one person is bigger than the program. And quite frankly, now he's in a position where okay, well, if you're not 100% here, then you can get out. It's fine, and that's kind of where things were at. It seems like Oregon was in the running to me, or they were, or his representatives were talking to Oregon, but Oregon wasn't even interested. They kind of were just like, no, we're good. So I feel like it's hard to trust the representatives of these players. And also, I feel like they didn't really, make an effort to talk with the school and say, like, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking. Can we work out something? Can we work, just kind of, figure this out? And it seems like Tennessee was like, it doesn't seem like he's 100% in. Well, if you're not 100% in, then you can get the hell out. I mean, it's that simple. So you're going to see more of this. And unfortunately, these kids are, they're, 17 if they're being recruited and 18 when they're going in and 19. I mean, these guys are young kids, and now, you have these representatives, do you even call them agents and stuff with this? I think this situation just didn't help either party involved. So now, did he pick a team per se now, or are we still wondering where he's going?
No official word has come out yet, but of course the early indications and conversations like, Oregon was up there, but apparently UCLA is strongly into the mix. Okay. He's from California. But that's certainly one team, and a lot of connections have been put out there. They are certainly one of the many interested in his services for next season.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Like I said, you're going to be seeing a lot more of it. So, it's got my stamp of approval. There's going to be more of this, and it's going to get messy. I think it will start getting messy. So, there's got to be they got to come up with a way to figure out, okay, this is how we're going to conduct this. You can ask for more after your sophomore year or something like that.
Right.
I don't know. That's just how I look at it. So, Voldy, what do you think?
Yeah, we're getting more and more into the weeds here about what it should actually be, because real set standards still have not been put in place for NIL. That's been running rampant. I mean, I don't know. It feels like it's only been going on for like a year or so, but we're nearing 3, maybe 4 years already of NIL being a major factor in college athletics too. And first off, I want to give hats off, especially to Coach Heupel and, of course, University of Tennessee, putting their stance and saying, all right, well, you're already getting paid $2 million. If that's not good enough for you, bye. Fine. Whatever. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere that somebody's going to pay you money. And if you can make that money, hey, good for you. But we're in the business of trying to win football games. And the money is just, the cherry on top of all of it. If he doesn't want to be a member of the program and actually win on top of, making money to help, sustain himself, then that's on him. And if he can go somewhere to at least try and win some games and also make money before trying to go to the pros, hey, good for him on top of it. But I really like the fact that they really put a stance on where they are and looking to, not get further and further down in the rabbit hole of just getting more and more convoluted on, all right, we got to give him the money so that way he'll show up to spring practice. That way he'll be here for the team, hopefully win us some games. Like, if you don't want to play for Tennessee, fine, go. There's the door. Portal opened up today, believe it or not. Yet again, I feel like the portal's opening up every other week for guys to try and flip schools and go from program to program at this point. I mean, there's even been points too where some guys have transferred in December and then actually transferred now without actually even playing any meaningful snaps or games for programs that they've swapped back and forth. And now we're getting to a point now. I mean, this is certainly not the first time, the only time that this will happen just because there are no real set standards or rules, and whoever is really advising him or trying to be an agent is really trying to make it all about themselves as opposed to Nico himself. Like, he's the one that's taking all the blame, where honestly, it's probably his representation, if you can call them representation, they're saying like, no, we can get more money out of them. Did you see how, you played this season? You got them to the playoff, and you took a bad loss against Ohio State, but hey, that team won the national championship. Like, hey, you were in the mix against a team that won the natty on top of it. You should definitely ask for more money. And like, it's just getting uglier and uglier by the second of just how money and college athletics is just making it much harder for these guys to really put themselves in a situation where they can be successful long term. And now I really just want to go back to the days where like we can just suspect like, okay, these guys are getting paid. Like, it's all behind the back, under the table, behind closed doors. Like, okay, we can assume they're getting paid. It's just not outwardly out in the open saying like, oh yeah, I'm making $2 million for all my NIL and all the trust funds and stuff like that. I think this will not be the first and only time this happens. That's got my stamp of approval. It'd be very interesting to see where he ends up, especially now at this point where a lot of teams have already wrapped up spring practices, looking for, off-season work, leading into the summer, end of school year type things. How's that going to play out for him going into a new situation? Very well could be heading back to the West Coast. And I think UCLA is definitely one that's certainly looked to offer them his services for sure.
Man, it's just, the thing is, too, he's not going to get what he was asking for from Tennessee. Like, they're saying, like, he's not going to get the asking price that he was hoping for with the $4 million. So,
look, if he goes to Oregon, Phil Knight out of the University of Oregon straight up told Dan Lanning and everybody there to say, what do you need? How much? Get it done. That's worked out pretty well for a couple of those programs over there. I mean, what do we need to get it done, basically? So it would not be very surprising if he ends up somewhere and he gets the money that he wants.
Wouldn't be surprising, but if it's kind of like, well, crap, what did I do here? He could regret it. That's I think in the whole grand scheme of things, that very well could be the case. So we'll see what happens. We could be wrong, and he could just tear it up, and we're just like, wow, we're just sitting here like a bunch of idiots. I don't know. Anyway, next one, Voldy.
Well, we stay in the world of college football in a very interesting historical moment for the University of Colorado and the Buffaloes football program, as Travis Hunter and sheduersanders, set to be top NFL draft picks coming up here next week, will have their jerseys retired by the University of Colorado as part of the football team's spring game festivities that took place this past Saturday. Now, of course, this is actually it's coming up this Saturday. Those festivities will take place. Of course, Hunter wearing number 12 and sheduersanders wearing number 2 in 2 seasons at the University of Colorado will be among the immortals, of course, with Hunter wearing the number 12 and also being a Heisman Trophy winner. In his time, Hunter, of course, was the Heisman Trophy winner, both playing receiver and also quarterback, won 8 major awards, a unanimous first-team All-American, had 153 career catches for just under 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns, while adding 7 interceptions, 16 pass breakups, and a forced fumble on defense, playing a total of 2,625 total snaps in 2 seasons for the Buffaloes. Now, on the other side was Sanders, breaking more than 100 school records, including career passing touchdowns, passer rating, completion percentage, will also have his number 2 retired after throwing 7,364 yards, 64 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. Those numbers will be retired by the University of Colorado. Now, with all that being said, the numbers look great. What they did in 2 years is certainly quite something, but is it absurd or approved? with Shedeur and also Travis Hunter getting their numbers retired, are they both worthy of having their numbers retired at the University of Colorado after just 2 seasons?
This is the point in the show where, I didn't want to go this route, but I'm going to have to.
Do it.
This is absolutely positively absurd. Now, there's a reason why I have this, and there's a lot of things that have factored into this decision. One, yes, you can look at the stats. Were they very good players? Yes. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They were exceptional. That's why they are going in the first round of this year's NFL draft. But their record the past 2 seasons, they were 13-11, if I'm not mistaken. If my math is correct. 13-11 for those 2 seasons. And they were 1-7 against ranked opponents. Now, I get football's a team game. You have, Shedeur had some great games as well. Travis Hunter playing both sides of the ball, very impressive. But how can you say that they're already worthy of number retirements here? Now, when it's all said and done, and if they have a successful NFL careers and things like that, then maybe they would already, take care of that if they become stars. And that's if, the key word here. I have tried to be reasonable about, Deion, and that's just how he is, the Flash, the, X, Y, and Z, just him being Deion, primetime being primetime. Mm-hmm. But I think a couple things factored into them wanting to do this. And I just don't think this came down to like, oh yeah, we're absolutely going to do it. I think this came down to rumors of Deion leaving for the NFL.
Right.
And they had Dallas was talking to him and trying to convince him to come to, coach the Cowboys. And I think he used that and leveraged that with Colorado and said, I'm due for an extension. This is what I want. And one of these, in this, contract, I want my son and Travis Hunter's jerseys to be retired. So this all kind of comes back to Deion, okay?
Yeah.
I have no ill will towards the guy. I just think how he's conducted this whole Colorado program and whatnot. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that you would retire these guys' numbers already after 2 seasons with these guys. And they didn't play well the first year, obviously, the first year, getting used to things. But this past year, they were okay. They weren't anything super special.
Yeah.
I think this is absolutely absurd. And this has Deion written all over it. And again, I have no beef with the guy, but I do not agree with this. I think this is ridiculous in itself. And the fact that let's bring this into this foldy, since we'll be talking about the team that this man played for. Mm-hmm. These two are going to get their jerseys retired at Colorado before Kevin Garnett in the Wolves.
Kevin Garnett got a Celtics number retired before him with the Wolves. It's been like 5 years since he's got his number retired by the Celtics.
It is just blasphemy to me that these two are getting it before like a guy like Kevin Garnett and everything like that. Like, oh my God, this doesn't make any sense to me why they're doing this. And I I think it comes all the way back to Deion. And again, I just feel like the shtick is getting old already. I really believe it. Deion is primetime. He is a Hall of Famer, well-deserved, everything like that. But ever since, people have been putting all this media and, things towards him, and especially when he calls out his own players and media and, things like that, and, ripping their offensive line and, saying, like, I'm going to say where he goes to what NFL team he goes, him and Travis, so where they're going to go. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of backtracks on that statement. Says, they could go to wherever, is whatever fits. It's like, yeah, okay. I think you want them to go to specific teams, but that's just me. I think it's absurd. I don't think that they should have gotten their jerseys retired that quickly, especially after 2 seasons. It's absurd in my mind. So, Voldy, what are your thoughts?
I mean, this is all publicity stunt. I feel in my mind like nothing against Shedeur and Travis Hunter. When they went to Colorado, I was all in. It took everything inside me not to buy Colorado Buffaloes gear, and also the wife saying, no, you cannot spend money on dumb stuff like that. As much as I want a sheduersanders Colorado jersey, heck, I'd even take Shiloh at this point over everybody else. But the fact that they're getting their numbers retired before guys like, I don't know, Cordell Stewart, who led the team to a gall-darn national championship with one of the best upsets in college football history when they took down Michigan in the Big House, one of the great finishes in college football history. If you haven't done so, check it out there. He doesn't even have his number retired at Colorado. That's a disservice within itself. 4 numbers been retired by Colorado. Byron White's 24, Joe Roman's 67, Bobby Anderson's 11, and the late Rashawn Salam's number 19 also are the retired numbers. But again, this is a publicity stunt. You've got a guy like Deion in control of the program, not saying that their work and effort isn't, merited or without saying, but this definitely is something that needs to take a little bit more time. Let's see what they do at the pro level. Maybe give it a couple years before you start retiring numbers. Lamar Jackson didn't have his number retired up until like a couple years ago, and he's almost 10 years in the league now, or at least that's what it certainly feels like on top of it. I don't think that this is a good idea right now, and it does the disservice of the program. Just of, they're riding the hot hand right now. Of course, the numbers do speak for themselves. Shedeur 13-12 at Colorado as a starting quarterback. But the second thing that I thought of on top of this being kind of absurd, it's like, okay, and the second thing I thought of was like, so are they going to get their numbers retired at Jackson State for their first 2 years as opposed to their last 2 years? Overall, I don't like it. It makes me feel gross, honestly. Just like, really? We're going to retire these guys' numbers over some of the other greats that have come through that program? Like I said, Cordell Stewart, Nate Solder, Eric Bieniemy on top of it. Of course, some great numbers that have been thrown up there. Former Vikings linebacker, Randy Bikert or Rudy Bikert or something like that. He was a Raider, then he was a Viking for a couple seasons. But those guys, don't get the recognition from the program they deserve. But of course, when Deion's running the show, anything he says comes and goes. But, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But, it just, I don't like it. It's absurd, completely absurd.
Yeah, and it makes sense from this perspective. Like, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, and we welcome Tate into the fold. Look at that guy. He's looking great. That's Spider-Man, by the way? Is that
yeah.
I love it. Yeah. All right. We love Tate hopping on the show, chilling with us. But yeah, I mean, Voldy, this whole thing doesn't make sense to me when it comes down to, we got to retire. We're going to have this big celebration, and it's a publicity stunt. I think at this point in time, this goes from being like, I mean, especially when you have NFL teams that have said that he is not a well-liked guy. He was very pompous, very full of himself.
Doesn't surprise me.
And it's, I mean, again, Deion's son and whatnot. But, I mean, how are you going to win over anybody by that attitude?
Right.
You know, any NFL team. So I think that's why there's been some people that have dropped him in mock drafts and, you know, things like that. It could be smoke screen. Could very well be. I don't know. But, yeah, I think if they're going to have it retired, well, you know what? Time to get going then. Playing well in the NFL, and then maybe that changes. So we will have to keep an eye on how things go there. So with that being said, that's going to do it for ARA this time around. Great job, Voldy, with ARA. We had to move some things around because we are having Alex Zappa hop on with us talking some Wolves. Safe to say, Voldy, Tate, the Wolves and Lakers, it's going to be a fun matchup. None, to say the least. You have LeBron, you have Luka, you have Ant, you have our tribal chief, Naz Reid. Acknowledge your tribal chief, Naz Reid. And
WrestleMania season, Naz Reid.
WrestleMania season, acknowledge your tribal chief. And the Wolves are, I mean, this is going to be a big test. Everyone's against them. Everyone doesn't think that they can do it. But you know what? That can change. That can change like that. Everyone thought Wolves were going to lose to Phoenix. The Wolves were going to get swept and everything like that. And what they do, they kicked their ass. So, with that being said, it's time. It's time, baby. It's time to bring in our guy who's in the green room. He's about ready to get rolling.
In for a treat tonight.
You throw him out. Where he at?
Oh, hold on. I have tape. There we go.
Hey, there he is. Alex Zappa. He's back. He is
forgot
back.
that I taped my camera. I was like, what is going on? And then
Smart man.
It's all good.
Smart
Zaps. Or yeah, go ahead. Yep, go ahead. Finish.
We're so back. No, just cleaning her off, just polishing. Do I sound good? I plugged in my microphone. I hope it's working.
Yeah, you sound good. Sound good. Everything's good, my friend.
You look great.
Yeah.
Great.
The flow looks good too, Zaps. I love it.
Bada bang. Let me grab a coconut water quick. Let me hit the fridge.
I love it.
There you go.
Hey, there you go.
Brought to you by Kirkland and our Kirkland partners. Better coconuts, better people, better health.
Hey, there you go. Hey, fantastic. Voldy, I will say too, I did see this man on TV. There was one. I forget what commercial it was, Zaps, but I saw you on TV. I mean,
probably Stitch Fix, I would think.
Yes, I think that's what it was.
No big deal.
No big deal. Look at this guy. He's in movies. He's in commercials now. Good Lord. He's doing it all.
Please, let's go. Can't wait.
So, Zaps, we got a lot to talk about. Tonight. Those Wolves, man. We got a big matchup. The Wolves, Lakers, Saturday, it all starts. You know, them not have to be in the play-in and everything like that. I feel like that was helpful. They don't have to deal with that. Obviously, you see Golden State moving on here, taking on Houston, and obviously we're waiting on the rest of the teams there as well. So, Zaps, first thoughts on the matchup with the Wolves and the Lakers. I mean, what do you think? I mean, are we feeling that the Wolves national media has been like all Lakers, but I think us here, we're kind of like, I think the Wolves can do something. What are your early thoughts here on the series?
I'm going to give you some history here, Sir Callahan, to the band.
Let's go.
The lowest seeded team to ever win an NBA title was the 1985 Houston Rockets. Now, FanDuel Sports Network's very own Jim Peterson was on that team. That team was Hakeem Olajuwon, Ralph Sampson, Clyde Drexler came into that team. My point being, staying out of the play-in is humongous because, frankly speaking, you just have no shot if you're a 7 or an 8 seed because of just the bevy of teams, the workload it would take to get there. Going against the Lakers is not awesome. I'm going to tell you that straight up. I would rather go up against many teams than them. With that said, I do think the national media is on the Lakers side. I think the public, more importantly, is on the Lakers side when it comes to a gambling perspective. Yeah. And the fact that the Wolves, the last time I checked, were plus 175 for our novices out there. That means bet 100, win 175. For the Lakers, they were minus 200. Bet $200, you make only $100. 2-1 favorites, to me, is a misnomer on what is going to happen here. And this is going to be a series of superstars. And we did a real shit job. No swear word. Sorry, intended. Sorry, Voldy.
No, you're fine. Hey,
you're good.
Hey, we're PG-13 now. It's all good.
It's all good.
But this team learned last playoffs, hopefully, how to deal with lukadoncic. And so it's kind of really ironic. Like, guess what? You want to slay the beast. You want to be a team that can go to the NBA Finals. You got to the West Finals last year. Okay, that's one thing. Mm-hmm. You got to beat some big dogs. And you got the player of our generation, LeBron James. And then from where I stand, it's really going to be it's Luka's league, it's Edwards' league, or it's Wemby's league. And then throw in Tatum, if he can maybe do it again with Boston. But it's going to be incredible. Obviously, the Lakers used to be here, this is the land of 10,000 lakes, right? So there's history all across the board. But I'll tell you what, Anthony Edwards, there are two players he really gets up to play against from what I've seen in his career. One is Kevin Durant. We saw what happened last year against the Phoenix Suns. And again, the Suns swept us in the regular season last season. Right. Not to mention game 82, when we could have finished as the 1 seed, okay? And then it completely switched around. So to end my point, we've been terrible against the Lakers this regular season. That's why the public and professionals are on the Lakers. Throw it all away. This is going to be totally different. And I'll tell you, we might just have the best player in this series, and that means we might just win.
You're speaking our language. That. That's all we need to, talk about. And I think the big thing is that, and again, these are the national media people talking too, about how Ant's got to have a superhero effort with this team and everything. And it's like they don't really have anyone with him. It's like, have you guys seen what Nas Reed, our tribal chief, has done? Have you guys not seen what Jadenmcdaniels has done? Nah has been playing very well as of late as well. I think that's a big fact. It's just like, if you look at the roster, and this is just my opinion, but I like the Wolves roster better than I do the Lakers, if I'm being completely honest. I like certain aspects, not the whole. You got LeBron, you got Luka. Of course, you would want those guys, but I'm looking at the Wolves and I'm just like, I kind of like the roster better when you have the guys off the bench playing well and whatnot. That's just me. Mike Conley's playing a little bit better. I know that his age is showing some stuff as well. Would you agree with that? Would you say the Wolves probably have the better roster in the series? What do you think?
As I was coming back from the downtown Minneapolis Lifetime Fitness, just kind of putting my takes in the oven for this incredible sports program.
Yes.
You kind of took the take right out of my mouth, if I'm being honest, because when I think of the Phoenix series last season, why did we win? Yes, we did a great job on Booker, but we shut down, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on their team. They never did anything. And so when you think of the Lakers, LeBron's going to get his, Luka's going to get his, Austin Reeves is going to be a really big key. But I don't know who else is scoring for this team. And it's going to really come down to, can Luka and LeBron get those guys wide open shots? And guess what? When Dallas did it with Luka and Kyrie, they were able to do that. Derek Lively killed us. Daniel Gafford killed us. Jaden Hardy in the game killed us. Okay? So it's going to come down to, can Finney Smith hit his open kickout shots? Is Gabe Vincent going to play? Is Jaron Vanderbilt going to have a good time? You're not going to see any of these other guys. So I think you're 100% right. We'll probably get to it. I think the Gobert and Mike Conley minutes are going to be fascinating to monitor. I think
Yes.
there's going to be huge fluctuations, hopefully, on what the Lakers do. And who's pushing who? I mean, I think that's a really huge part. But Matt, to answer your question, I absolutely like the scoring because what can DiVincenzo is a bucket, okay? Naz Reid is a
Yeah.
bucket. Neil Alexander-Walker is a great open three-point shooter, which he always is when he's on the court with those players. So when you take away, like, playoffs come down to 8 players. They really do. And to your point, the scoring and the playmaking of our 4 through 8 are really incredible. It's what separated us in the second half of this season. And once Julius Randle figured out how to use those players and not to kind of almost work against them, which I think is the story of the second half of the
Right.
Timberwolves season, this team really unlocked something. And so you are 100% right. I think the top threes are going to really kind of cancel each other out, and it's going to come down to the depth. And I love our depth. With that said, they're a bit younger and they need to have a good start and they need to be confident. But if they can do that, I think that is a humongous key to the Wolves. How efficient is Naz Reid, Dante, Nikhil, and JadenMcDaniels? Because there's no one on that team that can guard him. They're going to put their best guys on Anthony Edwards. They're going to put their best guys on Randall. Can JadenMcDaniels average 17.5 and efficiently this series? If he does that, we win, period. Same with Naz. You can put Chenzo's three-point shooting in there. That's a great take, Matt. Nice job. Well done.
Yeah, no, thanks. Well, no, I mean, and again, you just solidified kind of what matchups and, things like that. I'm glad you brought up Randall because I feel like, he's been getting a lot, when we first got him, he's been getting a lot of hate and people are just like, this is, terrible. But the thing is, they're starting to gel, right? They're starting to actually, or the thing is they've gelled a little bit, I would say. And he's not like, hogging the ball as much. He still kind of does a little bit, but just a little bit. He could work on that. But again, I like kind of what I see from top to bottom. So Voldy, anything to add to that as well?
No, I just really look at, and Zaps brought it up perfectly too, with the amount of depth that's on the side of the Timberwolves compared to the Lakers. Because a lot of the same pieces that we have from last season still here with the team. You just throw in, of course, DiVincenzo, Julius Randle in that mix too a little bit more that bring that, experience at least playing full seasons. But now the postseason you throw into the mix too. You have those guys that were a part of the Western Conference Finals run for the Timberwolves last season, how that all works out and how they're able to, obviously match up because we've seen how a lot of these teams that make these finals appearance runs and make it all the way to championship, like we saw last year with Boston. Boston was the much deeper team when it came to just getting points off the bench, production off the bench, as opposed to it was Dallas. Dallas at that point was just too injured, too tired, where you had Boston. They were young, they were hungry, they had guys that could have been, potential starters on other teams, but chose to stay with the, the hometown team to at least be able to work something together as well. Put that together here with the Timberwolves for their sake. They have a lot of guys that have come up through the system or at least have come up young in their careers to at least be pivotal points for the Timberwolves to at least build off of, throw in the right mix of veterans on top of that. I think the Timberwolves certainly do have that right mix of that youth and experience beyond the top three to at least make them a much deeper team compared to the Lakers, which notoriously has been, let's get, 3 to 4 solid players and then just kind of figure out the rest of the lineup from that point as well with either young guys or scraps from other teams, basically.
Yeah. I mean, this
is coming from a guy that knows, nothing about basketball. All I know is basketball is round and it goes in the hoop. That's about it.
It's a good start.
It's a good start.
About it. It's about it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is Voldy, even last year when we were talking, the thing is Voldy's very, very in tune with Wolves and stuff. I mean, he knows his stuff. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
As much as I don't want to say it, it's like, I've paid a lot more attention to the Timberwolves since the years of K. Love, Luke Ridenour, and JJ Barrera.
Ryan Gomes. I saw Ryan Gomes on the coaching staff the other day. That was cool.
I know. I saw
Yeah,
that
dude.
too.
Like
I
seriously,
was
like it's
yes,
crazy.
That's great. That's.
I mean,
that's
Zappa and I met Kevin Love that one time. It was great at the high school basketball. It was like
That's
long
right.
time.
Oh my god.
Remember that?
During that first one, I was like, God, that's right. Oh my goodness.
yeah. He was
I
at
bet
the.
you guys never ran into Chris Humphreys at a Five Guys though.
Ooh, no, I haven't
Yeah.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chris Humphreys.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
I didn't do that.
A
but I
long
knew
time.
about 7 people that ran into Chris Humphreys at a Five Guys in Rochester. So
Nice.
Wow,
Yeah.
did not know that. So, well, I mean, just kind of getting back to what I mean. The big thing is, and Zappa, you mentioned it briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Doncic, this guy has been a Wolves killer. Now, people are kind of thinking, like, oh, man, if Rudy goes on him, he's going to cook him. It's like, well, of course. I mean, Rudy, you're playing to Luka's strength, and when he had that game-winning shot over Gobert and everything like that, I mean, Gobert's, out on the perimeter trying to guard a guy that's just a scoring machine. I mean, it was tough. To defend that and whatnot. But Zaps, the question I have to you and Voldy here too, how are they going to somewhat contain Luka this time? I mean, is it going to be a lot of JadenMcDaniels against Luka here? Are we going to see even Clark as well? Hashtag Clark County Jail. He's been playing good defense as well. I mean, how are the Wolves going to attack Luka here? What do you think, Zaps?
Clark County Jail.
Yeah,
You
Jalen
make
Clark,
that up?
baby.
Is that like a thing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
it is now.
Oh my god. I haven't heard that. That was awesome. I'll tell you
Thank
what, Jalen Clark getting put to school by Luka, and then I think 2 games later, Jokic was just an incredible, welcome to the NBA kind of you think you're a great defender? Here's a couple guys that are just got a couple tricks you haven't seen. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've watched Jaden McDaniels try to defend Luka Doncic, and it just hasn't worked. If he can stay out of foul trouble, it's good. He just doesn't have the size. He doesn't have the girth. And Luka is such an incredible contested shot maker that you need size. And so for me, you're going to kind of swing 3 guys on him. You're going to put Ant on him at sometimes, but Anthony Edwards can't guard him the whole time. You need him to conserve some energy on offense. So then you put Jaden on him. But Jaden's going to get in foul trouble because that's what happens with Jaden McDaniels. So then it's, okay, do you put Randall to have some size, to be able to stand up to him, but then Luke is going to get past him. So then, okay, do you have Rudy in the game? But if the Lakers are small, then you don't have Rudy in the game. So you don't have rim protection. So then Luke is just getting a free 2 points going to the rim every single time. And so Nickeil Alexander-Walker is someone they drive-pied, on him in the Dallas series, and it kind of worked, but that's when Luka just bully balls him, goes down low, and, does fadeaways in the lane that are really good shots for him. So for me, when I think back to the Dallas series, the Dallas Mavericks, they didn't miss much. We didn't get many turnovers.
Right.
We didn't get in transition. They kept us just inbounding the ball, which just stagnates what the Wolves do so well. They need to get target center alive, or they need to turn a visiting crowd against their team, get a team in transition, use their defense to create offense, and that gets the other team uncomfortable. But when the other team gets in their half-court offense, that's not great for us all the time. So we need to take away the passing lanes from a Luka, from a LeBron James, force them to shoot threes, and pray to the heavens that they don't shoot that well. And guess what? We're a pretty good contested three-point shooting team. We have a very good opponent three-point field goal percentage as a unit. So for me, it's keeping the LeBrons and the Lukas in front of you, draining their shot clock so they run out of time. So then they force a pass or they force a shot, and then we have guys there to rebound. For me, it's they're going to score. The problem is if you start accumulating points, rebounds, and assists. If they score 35, but they only have 4 assists, I'm okay with that. But when you get Luka going 29, 9, and 9, if you get LeBron, 24, 12, and 8, that's when we lose. And that's when their team gets alive. They get touches. They start making shots. Everyone's hot. We're not. You can't make him shoot jump shots. That's what I would say. Because the second Luka gets past you, and you got a 2-man game going, and he's kicking out to open 3-point shooters, and they make those, that is demoralizing. And playoff basketball, amongst anything, is about momentum. Keep the momentum, maintain the momentum, and we have the players with the scoring ability to get it. Naz Reid dunks, Anthony Edwards dunks, step backs, Naz Reid spin moves. We have the guys to demoralize the other team. And that's what we saw last year with the Phoenix game 1, is we stepped on their throats and we stayed there the whole entire time.
Right.
Every game has the same value. I get that. In this series, like last season versus Phoenix, as a team that was coming into the playoffs, lose, being the 1 seed coming into the last game, as I mentioned, being 0-for-4 against Phoenix, to run them over in the way we did in game 1, that set the precedent for the series. If we have a game 1 like we did game 1 of the regular season, where the Lakers mauled us and made us look like little boys, that's a big problem. We need to set the tone early game 1, and if we do that, we're going to be just fine.
Well said. Absolutely well said from that perspective. And, I'm going to ask this of Voldy here, too. Voldy, when we saw them taking on, or when we saw the Mavs taking on the Celtics, I feel like we saw a lot of them attacking Luka on defense, forcing him to play defense. And let's be honest, he didn't fare as well when they were going right at him. He gets tired. No. He starts to, on offense, he's getting tired and things like that. I mean, is that another way that the Wolves can really, contain Luka a little bit? And the same thing with LeBron. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really coming down to pressing up against Luka and, ultimately getting up under him and, really forcing him to make a lot of split second decisions. And we certainly know that he's got the movement to at least get around and at least be able to find a couple open lanes here and there. But if you set the tone early with maybe just a barrage of whether it be switches or just get one guy on him and possession by possession and try to work him up and down the court while trying to force him to play defense if he wants to play it at all, that's going to get him frustrated, take him mentally out of the game. And next thing you know, we're going to see more the classic Luka complaining to the referees and the officials, which will ultimately drive him and the Lakers out of any game at that point, because we've seen it, especially in the last handful of games, where the frustration has started to mount to the point where it could get ugly for them fairly quickly if they don't resolve said issues. And I just really feel like you have to set that tone early, like Zap said too, of just getting pressure on Luka as early and often as possible, and the team as a whole too. You have to play that a little bit more, maybe not so much physical, just that really pesky. It's times like this. I wish we still had Pat Bev on the squad to get a little bit that pesky, just like F you, F your mom, F your car, F your dog, just get, not obviously from the standpoint of just like, I'm trying to win the mental game as opposed and as well as the physical game on top of it.
Can I jump on that, Natty C? Voldy, that was expertly done. Because it's something I was thinking about as well walking over here, was like, Matt, to your point, we really did not take advantage of Lukadoncic on defense last time.
Right.
But why? Because Luka was guarding Mike Conley or Rudy Gobert. And those guys were not empowered to, first of all, have the ball on offense to do something with. And then second of all, to playmaker or to score. Neither of them was confident in doing that. And that's the other thing when we get to the playoffs. The gravity of the ball goes way up. And by that, I mean, think of the LeBron teams that have not been successful in the playoffs. A lot of guys afraid to take shots because they don't have James on the back of their jersey. Right. A lot of guys that are not taking the open shots that they should have because the clock's winding down, the game's tight, and they're like, I'm not a superstar. I shouldn't be taking a shot inside of 3 minutes. So how do the Lakers do with Luka, with LeBron, having the ball all the time? Can those supporting characters fill in the gaps? But again, how much is Mike Conley playing in this series? Because if the Lakers are going to start Reeves, LeBron, okay, you got Rui. And then it's interesting. It's going to be Finney Smith, I think, as well. Then, like, Jackson Hayes, okay? Like,
Right.
who else is going to be on this team? So, like, with who we play and how we play them, we have the ability to do some things. I'm looking up the box score from the Lakers' second last game because they played Houston and they rolled them over. Second last game of the season, 140 to 109.
Right. Yeah.
And I was taking a peek at this box score. So they started Reeves, Rui, Luka, LeBron, Jackson Hayes, and those five. So I think they are not going to start Jackson Hayes when we get into the playoffs. And I think they're going to go with Jared Vanderbilt. Like, I think they go smaller. And then it's like, okay, then is Mike Conley guarding Austin Reeves? And if so, that's a huge problem. Because Reeves is a bucket. And Mike Conley is fantastic. But he's 37 and as organized as he gets us the first through third quarters. In fourth quarters, he really struggles to take shots, and when he does, to make shots, quite frankly. And so for me, is Mike Conley closing these games? Or is it DiVincenzo? Or is it Nickeil Alexander-Walker? And then can Rudy Gobert be a plus or a minus? I mean, because that's really – because the national media is saying you can't play him in this series. Well, I think you could throw him on Rui. Or, and sound crazy, you could throw him on LeBron and just force LeBron to make sure. Like, can you be a three-point shooter series? Because then you also take away his driving kick and his playmaking. And so, you know, guess what? We're playing a 3 seed. They're a 3 seed for a reason. They're a great team. JJ Redick has been a great coach to this point. Chris Finch needs to outcoach him. And I think that's another really subtle storyline. Chris Finch was billed as this great coach, this offensive wizard. And while he is that, he has two guys in Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, God bless them, that are not the best at listening to their coaches. And when time comes at the end of the game, they do what they want to do. And they are so talented and they are so good that it usually works. And you could say the same thing for LeBron and Luka. But who has a better tendency to get better shots at the end of games? Luke and LeBron versus Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. So can that switch this series? And frankly, can we get a big enough lead in the first 3.5 quarters where the end of these games don't? That's, to me, another storyline is can our youth and our speed and our experience in these playoffs, because this team has now this 5 straight years, right?
Yep.
Can we build up big enough leads where the end of these games don't matter? Because when they do matter, we were not a good clutch team this season. We will probably not be a great clutch team in the playoffs. Can that change? Will that change? We will see. But guess who is really good in those situations usually? LeBron James and Lukadoncic. So it's also going to be about growing the leads to where these end of the games don't matter because we have, shot ourselves in the foot quite a few times that way. But Anthony Edwards, he is him.
He's him.
As Obama said, LeBron backed him up on that playoff clip in the Olympics. It's I'll tell you what, there are very few players in NBA history who have better efficiency and better numbers in playoffs versus regular season. Anthony Edwards is one of them. So, his star shines the brightest in the biggest moments, and we're going to need that yet again.
Quote unquote, bring yes, let's go, baby. I'm hoping that Ant can, do that for us. And, Zaps, you bring up great points with Finchy and kind of how Julius Randle and Edwards operate. One thing I want to bring up real quick, and I want your thoughts on this. The ability for them to close out games, I think, has been troublesome. Inbound plays, like guys don't know where they're going specifically. They've had those instances where Ant turns it over or Randall goofs something up and because he doesn't know what's going on and things like that. Like you said, Finchy has to outcoach JJ. And this is a big thing I feel like they need to be better at. If this is a game where they're down 1, they're tied, things like that where they need to have a good play coming off the timeout and executing. Would you agree with kind of how that's been going on with their inbounds in close games for them to be able to close out? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the greatest and worst thing about Anthony Edwards is he can make any shot. And so he's very Kobe Bryant in that respect, where he'll take any shot. He is talented enough where he can make any shot. I think if I'm JJ Redick, I am blitzing and doubling Anthony Edwards constantly. He is still not good at it. It still makes him uncomfortable. He still has lazy passes out of double teams, in my opinion. And it's what you saw the Milwaukee Bucks do when they either blitzed him or they gave us a 2-3 zone. And again, you had two guys who had the ball in their hands a lot, and Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, who could not adjust, did not know how to adjust, and couldn't take coaching in that instance. Because we lost, and did I bet on it? Yes, I did. The Wolves -4. Were they up 24 going into the fourth quarter? Yes, they were. Did they lose by 7? Yes, they did. So JJ Redick is going to blitz in. And the thing that I would anticipate is he saves it for fourth quarters. I don't think you'll see it. You'll see it sparingly early. But I think JJ's not going to want Ant get warmed up, like handling that situation. He's going to save it for fourth quarters. They're going to blitz him. And then for Ant, it's about splitting early, which he has the speed and talent to do, seeing it early and getting off of it. But what he does all the time, and the Lakers are a really smart team, they will run us to the ground doing this, is if he waits it, holds it, and then, he's left side, you got a guy right side, he does this telegraphed bounce pass that any good defender is going to shoot up the court and intercept. And you see it all the time. And it's Mike Conley, usually that guy that's going to get it. And it gets disrupted all the time. So for me, with Anthony Edwards, fourth quarters, quick decision-making, understanding that the double team is getting ready, and doing a much better job, the Timberwolves as a team, I would say, of anticipating that and then getting guys open and creating plays off of the doubles. And all that is a quick pass, a drive, and then a lob to Gobert. That is the math of it. The double comes, get off of it. Now you got 4 versus 3. You go to the rim. It's either a wide open layup. They come over, and you got a guy in the dunker spot sitting in there, and it's a layup. So basketball is geometry. And to your point, coaching in Chris Finch, can the Wolves follow the game plan, and can they see it with the heat and the exposure and the pressure of the playoffs? I cannot wait to find out. And guys, for me, I feel like it really is slaying the dragon. Like the Lakers, I didn't want to say it, but like they were the last. I would way rather see OKC. I really would. But like
That's fair.
Job and Shea, like we know how to play that team. Denver, I'm totally fine playing Denver. Obviously, Houston scares me a little bit, but we have way better shot making and talent than them. I thought the Lakers were the toughest matchup against us. And frankly, I would put the Clippers second. I think everyone is sleeping on the Clippers. I can't believe they're dogs. With how Kawhi Leonard has been playing, he's been a top 5 player in the NBA the last 2 months. And guess what? When he was a top 5 player, he won a championship with the Raptors. And this is a lot better and more talented Clippers team than that Raptors team was. So I think the West at 1 through 6, I think the West is super even. And it's really about matchups and just who makes shots, which is really cliche, but like, watch the games. That is literally what it is.
I couldn't agree more, and it's great analysis from that perspective and whatnot. So, Zaps, now it is time to make our predictions. Since we do have you on, we'll obviously be talking here and there and whatnot. So, Voldy, I want to start with you. What do you got? And I think I know where you're going to go with this. I really do want you to go with that specifically. But, Voldy, what do you got? Wolves, Lakers, and what?
The overwhelming confidence that we've gotten from Zappa here in this conversation last half hour, I have no problem in really throwing out. I mean, it don't matter. Lake show, donkey show, baby show. It don't matter. Wolves in 6.
Hey! I love the Shannon Sharp bit. I love it. It's so funny. Wolves in 6. I love it. Oh, God. All right, Zaps. If you please, what do you got? Wolves and whatever, Lakers, what do you got?
I mean, there's no way I'm picking the Lakers on this podcast. Like,
absolutely.
That's not going to
do
happen.
that.
Now Voley's a very smart man. My first inclination, my first thought was Wolves in 6. But I'll tell you what would be awesome. To take it home Game 7 in Staples Center. Anthony Edwards put it on, for all the great folks of California, LIA. I'm going Wolves in 7, and I think we're almost up. I think we're up 3-2, and then we drop one at home just because we would do that.
Yeah.
And then it's Anthony Edwards against Denver last year. I told you I'd see y'all ask for Game 7. I told you I'd be back here, and then we beat Denver. So I think it's going to be reminiscent of. I think there's going to be a couple blowouts too, which is not like crazy to say, but
Sure.
I think there's going to be a couple of really uneven games, and there's going to be a lot of adjusting. And again, I think the Mike Conley and Gobert minutes are going to be like a seesaw. It's going to be really dependent on which coach is pushing the other coach, and does the other one respond, or they just kind of put up their middle finger and say, F it, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing, and let's see which thing works better. It'll be cool. What about you, Callie C?
Zaps, on this show, Voldy and I, the past couple weeks, we've been, doing this bit and everything like that. And, I've kind of sat back and said, I want to be realistic, and, I know this is the Lakers. The Lakers are going – let's be honest. The Lakers are going to get the calls. I mean, it's that simple. They are going to get the calls, nonetheless. I worry about how Ant reacts to certain things if he doesn't get calls and, things around that nature and whatnot. I just hope that it doesn't, set him over the edge. We need Ant. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We need Ant for sure. I like the way that you're going, though, Zaps, of just taking it to them, Game 7 and whatnot, and just saying, screw all these LA people and whatnot. We're going to, beat the hell out of you and whatnot. But, I like the way that they've played after that whole Milwaukee Bucks ordeal. That was awful. I mean, it was terrible. They switched to a 2-3 zone, and they couldn't figure out how to attack. Like, guys, what are we doing here? And I know that guys were pissed off, and guess what? They responded. They won those 3 games. Things are looking good, right? So this is what I'm going to go with. And, I believe that the Wolves are going to have a plan with Luka this time. They're kind of figure out how to, get to him. But I got this feeling, man, that they're going to go out there. It's going to be tough. They're going to go into Game 5. They're going to go into Staples Center. And this is what's going to happen. Luka, Puka, Nakua, Wolves in 5. Wolves in 5, Shannon. Wolves in 5. I'm going that route. They're going to steal. Here's the thing. Wow. They're going to win one in Staples. I know it's a stretch. It's a stretch. But you know what? If the Wolves are that determined, and when they're playing, they can beat anybody. And when they're on their game, Nas is knocking down shots. All the guys off the bench, and Ant is on. Wolves in 5. That's what I got.
I love it.
So that's our predictions and everything like that. Zaps, we'll see what happens with Wolves and Lakers, and it was a pleasure talking Wolves and Lakers with you. But I do want a quick update. Where are we at on the whole next move? What's your next movie? What's the next modeling gig? What do we got, Zaps?
We had the fundraiser have its Minnesota debut at the Minneapolis Film Festival, which is very exciting. Went with my madre.
Yes.
Okay. I'll tell you what, if I'm being honest, nothing on the horizon, but it is about to get to busy season. Winter's usually pretty slow.
Sure.
I'll tell you what, audition for Running Point, that Netflix show with Kate Hudson that's about basketball, didn't get it. Audition for Happy Gilmore 2, it's coming out this year, didn't get it. Audition for Chicago Fire a month ago to play a gay firefighter's ex-boyfriend, didn't get it. But you know what? We're getting shots. We're taking them. And you two will be the first to know when there's a movie coming to a movie theater movie starring the Alexander James Zappa.
Let's go, man. Dude,
Love it.
the fact that you auditioned for Happy Gilmore 2, I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
To play his son. And the scene was like me and my boys just like ramming our hockey coach because he was just a dick. Like, it was really funny, actually. I loved it. I just don't think I look Jewish enough, if I'm being honest. I think there was probably someone better suited for that role, and that's okay. That happens, man.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, just in general, you're killing it, man. And do you know how many times back in school we would quote Happy Gilmore? I mean, good Lord. You know, it's
happening, just
tap, 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 taparoo.
It really is iconic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn right. God, you guys are beauties. Can we just also, I just want to say, too, is on a totally different subject. Shout out Paige Beckers, Minnesota Zone.
Yes.
Winning the Natty Championship. Been drafted #1 overall. And as someone who's a big Lynx fan, I reported for the Minnesota Lynx.
Yep.
The Dallas Wings are a super scary team. So just they are going to be immediately awesome. Paige is going to be immediately awesome. And while the NBA's cooking, guess what? Draft is done. I think media days next month. Like WNBA season's coming too. So while we love this basketball, man, we got some even awesomer basketball coming as well.
That's good because last week Voldy had Shield Shoutouts. Shouts out to Paige Beckers.
Yes.
I told Voldy, I said, if I'm Cheryl Reeve in the Lynx, I'm trading as much as possible to go up. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's wishful thinking. You know, I would love to have
20 first-round picks. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Borderline Mike Ditka trading the future for the Saints to get Ricky Williams back in the day. Great train robbery type trades.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, oof, yeah, that was We don't talk about that, but no, it's good. But again, you know, it's great to see Paige buckets. I think she's going to be fantastic in the W, like you were just saying too. So, shout out to Paige buckets, and we're looking forward to the Lynx season coming up here too, Zap. So, anything you want to add with the Lynx coming up here?
No, I mean they're going for their title defense. That's not a title defense because it got stolen from them.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what. I mean, most power rankings had them between like 8 and 11 last year. And so in a 12-team league, they're not going to be surprising anyone this year. So just the expectation's a lot higher. The team is about the same. They traded their first-round pick for Carly Samuelson, who's a really great shooter. They also got Grace Berger, who was a good but not great role player, kind of ish for the Indiana Fever, but her underlying metrics are really good. So the Lynx really didn't do anything. And guess what? When you go to the title and you go 32-8, you shouldn't do very much. So it's going to be a great, like the Fever are super scary. Like Caitlin Clark it comes into this season for me as a top 5 player in the W. Like for me, it's Nafisa 1. I would say Brianna Stewart 2, Asia Wilson 3. And then it's kind of wide open after that. And I think literally it is Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers knocking on the door. Like, sure, you have Kalea Copper, but like Diana Taurasi, she's no longer in the league. Ella Deladon, she retired. So the league is turning over a little bit. I'm not the biggest Jewel Lloyd fan, but Jewel Lloyd joins the Aces in place of Kelsey. So it's going to be, man, it's going to be a pretty crazy season in the W. I can't wait. But before we get there, it's NBA playoffs. It's Wolves versus Lakers. When you got LeBron versus Ant-Man, like just for 5, 6, 7 games, whoever wins that series is awesome. Like, duh. But it's like if Ant and the Wolves upset Luka and LeBron, and to your point, the league wants the Lakers to win, like they just do. They also got a superstar in Ant come. And then if the Lakers beat us and they do it handedly, like, are they the favorite to win the title? You know, like who's got better players than them? So like you can take Central the Lakers all you want. So the narratives are great. I can't wait to see all the basketball. The Lynx are going to be fun yet again. Go to the Target Center, go and see them. And the crowds are going to be buzzing for these Wolves too. It's I can't wait to check out the games. It'll be awesome.
I cannot wait to watch these playoffs here. Starting obviously Saturday, I can't wait to watch. And then go from there. But yeah, Zaps, we will keep in tune with you with Wolves, obviously, Lakers, Lynx, and you let us know when the big movie comes around, TV show, things like that. So we will let you go. Thank you for your time, Zaps, and we'll talk to you later, my guy.
Deuces, fellas. Thank you. Appreciate you. Love you guys. Bye.
I love you too, bud. All right, that's going to do it with Zaps. Voldy, we got some Shield shout-outs to get to. We got some awesome Shield shout-outs to get to. So I say we get it going with some Shield shout-outs.
Shield shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who ya shouting out tonight?
Of course, we do have a Shield shout out to throw to former Vikings cornerback, a legend within himself, P2. That's Patrick Peterson, on announcing his retirement from the NFL, signing a one-day contract so that he can retire as a member of the team that drafted him, that being the Arizona Cardinals. Of course, spending time in a brief amount of time, but still impactful nonetheless. So his time with the Minnesota Vikings and, of course, with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pat Pete, a end of an era generational type player, of course, coming out of DBU, that being LSU, Defensive Back University. Pat Pete was definitely a force to be reckoned with, not only defensively, but in the early goings of his career in the return game as well. Definitely a great player and also a leader in the locker room. Thus announcing his retirement. Wish he could have spent a little bit more time with the Vikings, but you know what? Small sample size. I will take it nonetheless. And that will do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
I love it. Well done. Well said. P2. And again, it was awesome having him as a Minnesota Viking as well. That was so much fun to have him. And he played well, too. He had a couple of good years. So definitely happy for him. God, I still kind of wanted that P7 jersey for the Vikings. I should do that sometime. It's sick. Anyway, Voldy, we were talking before the show real quick. It is WrestleMania weekend, yes, in Las Vegas. A lot of big matches. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and then the big one, obviously, Cody Rhodes, John Cena. Bad guy John Cena, I will say. But not only that, it's that time, baby. It's Tiffy time. She, good luck to Tiffany Stratton this weekend in Las Vegas against Charlotte Flair. Quote unquote, I'm going to say it on the show, Charlotte Flair, a has-been. She is absolutely a has-been. Pow! Pow, pow, pow! Yeah, I did. I went there, and you're damn right. Tiffy time up in Vegas, repping Minnesota, obviously. So, Voldy, give me Cody Rhodes, give me our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and Tiffy time. Voldy, who do you got?
Oh, boy.
Gun to the head. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Gun to the head. I mean, it's always going to be Tiffy time, I think.
Damn right.
There's no question about that, for sure.
Fair enough. We'll go with that. So, anywho, guys, you know the deal. We got merch. We got plenty of merch for you guys. We got shirts, hats, stickers, sweatpants, the whole deal. If you want to get ahead of your winter stuff, because, you know, winter's probably bye-bye for sure, get ahead of it. You never know. We could get you some nice deals as well. So you guys know the deal. We'll give you prices, things like that, stickers, the whole shebang. Thank you to National Fleet Graphic, Crown Rental, Tyler Knutson for the stickers as well. W2 Performance, shouts out to Will Rattel. He's doing some awesome things, keeping up to date on the socials medias, on YouTube. Make sure you check him out at www.w2performance.com. And then check out TLS Performance, Troy Stoudemire Jr. He's killing it. And there was alumni weekend or something I think it was last week or something. He was there. Troy was there. So it looks like he had a great time. over there as well. So shout out to our guy Troy. Make sure you check out the Popcorn Bucket List. Nick Dahlhoff and Ryne Myhrberg, Omni Entertainment. Those guys have got you covered on the latest movies coming out and a lot of entertainment topics as well. Make sure you check out their show. So, that being said, thank you to Alex Zappa for hopping on the show, talking Wolves, Lakers, the Wild are in the playoffs. It's a lot to be excited about, Voldy, here with the playoffs and whatnot. And next week is our draft special. Yes, Voldy and I are looking forward to chatting with you about that. What are the Vikings going to do, guys? We're at 24. Trade. I don't think they're going to trade up. I would hope they wouldn't. Or trade back. Stay there. Who knows? We will talk more on that with our draft special next week. So, more on that later. And giveaway, by the way. Remember, giveaway is going to be happening as well. So, with that being said, as always, remember, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.